Hi everyone, I'm really pleased to have been asked to speak to you today, and I'm really pleased to have been able to come down to Cornwall College to speak to you as well. I know that when I was at college, some random person talking to me about my life and what comes next would have seemed a little bit odd, but I was also really unsure about what I was going to do in the future. I certainly never thought that I would be doing the job that I do now. I've been the president of the National Union of Students for 2 years. It's a job that means that I represent 7 million students from across the country in both colleges and universities. It's a job that's meant that I've often sat across the table from people in government and politics, pretty powerful people that I never thought I'd even meet, let alone have the chance to tell them about experiences like mine, to try and make them listen to young people. It's a really difficult job, but it's one that I am incredibly proud to have. And it's one that I never expected to do. Because I guess when I was growing up, I was sort of told, like I guess lots of you were, that if I worked hard and went to school and did everything I was supposed to do, then I would get a job. Maybe not the job of my dreams, but a job that would pay the bills, support a family, and maybe afford a holiday every once in a while. And you, like me, know that where we grew up, just asking for a job wasn't asking for the world. It's just something that we felt like we deserved if we played by the rules. But now I think for lots of us it feels completely out of reach. It seems like we're just getting the raw end of the deal, because everybody says that there aren't any jobs. Youth unemployment means that millions of people are struggling just to find work, and then you're told that you need to get some experience and work your way up, but you can't even get a single chance. It's really tough. It can be really demoralising, and it makes you feel like, well, what's the point? Why bother? And also, I guess it's not an easy time to be in education. The government have cut funding for courses, taken away the education maintenance allowance, which meant that thousands of people like me wouldn't have to work in a Chinese takeaway after college like I did just to get by and afford food or the bus. And even when I was at college, everything felt like an uphill struggle. Shortly after getting into college and into my first year, which I failed spectacularly, I found out that I needed some operations on my hips. It meant that I couldn't play the sports that I wanted to anymore. I had to take pills and tablets just to walk. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with me, and I was really scared that I wouldn't be able to have a normal life. I was working really hard just to get by on a daily basis, and it felt like I wasn't ever going to reach that promise of getting a job, doing work that I found interesting, maybe even going to university and just getting on with my life. But that didn't mean that I didn't have ideas of what I wanted to do. And looking back now, my life is so different than what I dreamed it could be back then, even when things were really tough. I had loads of ideas about what I wanted to do with my life. At one point, I wanted to be a zookeeper, and then I wanted to work in a shop, and then I settled on being a doctor for a while, but actually, university felt like a long way away and pretty impossible to think of. I had loads of ideas and dreams and hopes, but I just had no idea what I should do. I never really felt like I had information or guidance about where to go. I talked to a few people about what I really wanted to do, but there was never much of a chance. For example, when I was in year 8 at school, I was choosing my options for GCSEs, and I skimmed through the kind of glossy brochures of the colleges like you do, read through all of the available options, and decided that maybe I should do a BTEC alongside some of my GCSEs. And then, having kind of decided the rest of my future, I walked into my parents' evening alongside my mum to speak with my head of year about my plans. And my head of year at school had had me and my parents in and out of parents' evening, done and dusted in a space of about 5 minutes maximum. Actually, I don't even think that I spoke at all. I got told to take the subjects that I was performing best in. My teacher wrote me a list of double English, double maths, double science, and that was it. He sent me on my way. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but that was that. I felt like I didn't have a choice. And then a couple of years later, when I was applying to do my A-levels, by now thinking, actually, yeah, I definitely do want to be a doctor, I went to my school sixth form open evening, full of energy and excitement for my future career. And this time, I was told that if I went to an FE college, I wouldn't get into university. I felt like I had nowhere left to turn. And so later on in my time at school, I took one of those kind of classic Cosmo quiz tests that tells you what career you're going to have for the rest of your life. And probably against the rules, during a college tutor group session, it told me that I was going to be a teacher. And I was pretty shocked. It felt like I clearly didn't know myself at all. I thought that this piece of software was designed to tell me the gospel truth about the rest of my life, that suddenly I had to change all of my plans to fit the way that this software had worked. I had to apply for teacher training. I would never make a good teacher. I felt absolutely lost, and I had no idea what I was going to do or who I was going to turn out to be. But do you know what? I actually made the decision to study at Cornwall College because one lecturer at one open evening asked me what books I like to read, and she told me that she would love to teach somebody who had my interests, not just somebody who had the right grades, me as an individual and the things that I enjoyed doing. And then, like I said, I failed my first year. I mean, I failed spectacularly. I got 2 U's and 2 D's in my A-levels, and I was pretty sure that that I would failed and I wouldn't get a second chance. But actually, it was really lucky that I'd chosen Cornwall College because I got the chance to start again. And the college was absolutely incredible. It gave me a second chance and it gave me a lifeline. And in fact, if I hadn't had that opportunity, there is no way that I would be here today or be talking to you. The college were amazing at helping me cope with my illness, and when I finally got my diagnosis, they supported me to make sure that it didn't mean I had to drop out of college. My lecturers put up with me being absent much of the time, but they were really encouraging, and they knew that I wanted to get on and do well, but I just needed a bit of extra help, a bit of flexibility that meant that I could do my studies at my own pace and make it work for me. And I was incredibly lucky that my family always told me that I could do anything I wanted to. I got support from my tutor, and they told me to get involved in other things, to put my mind to other things, even if it couldn't just be the sports that I wanted to play. And so they encouraged me to get involved in the student union. And frankly, I didn't even know what it was about. I didn't really understand politics, and I didn't know what I could do to get involved. And also, it meant putting myself forward for election and asking students to vote for me. And that's the most terrifying thing I ever did. I was really scared. I didn't feel like I could do it. But the student union president at the time told me that I should go for it and that I would regret it if I didn't. And I did. And 6 years later, I've done 2 years as president of Cornwall College Students' Union, 2 years as vice president of NUS, and 2 years as president of NUS. And none of that would have been possible without 2 things. The people around me who supported me and told me I could do anything that I put my mind to, and the college who didn't give up on me when it would have been the easiest thing to do. They knew that getting through college could transform my life, and it has, but it wasn't just passing exams that changed it, it was absolutely getting involved. And I feel incredibly lucky to have gotten to where I am. I know that I am lucky to have been given a second chance and to have been around people who are willing to give me a hand, or just some advice every once in a while to keep going. But actually, we can't continue to rely on luck. Everybody deserves a fair shot at doing something they want to do, something that makes them want to get up in the morning. But it is really hard, and it is particularly hard in Cornwall. Because when I lived here, I felt cut off a lot of the time. I felt distant from a world of jobs and sparkling education and the universities that you see on TV or online. And in fact, just getting around is difficult enough, let alone getting up and down in life. We live in one of the poorest areas in the UK. Just a few years ago, average earnings in Cornwall were 25% below the average wage in the rest of the country. Yet the cost of living, putting food on the table, renting a house, even buying a house is more expensive, all whilst above average levels of unemployment means there's more people fighting for each and every single job. 19,000 children and young people living in poverty in our area, and the worrying trends suggest that this is going to get worse, not better. More likely to have problems in school, less likely to get a job. And then the politicians scrap EMA and they slash disability benefits, things that helped keep me in education in the first place. And I suppose that that's when I got political, when I saw that people were making it harder for people like us to get on, to get a good education, get a job and have a life. They were actually making things worse, not better. And we need more people to have more options, more opportunities, better chances to get the education they deserve, not less. I haven't, but we definitely need more people from Cornwall going to university. But we also need more people choosing to do an apprenticeship and get paid a proper wage for it. Not just £2.68 an hour and then being looked down on just because they went to college or did an apprenticeship and not university. I got involved in my students' union and with NUS, and I've been fighting for a new deal for students and young people and a new deal for education. I think that should mean choosing options or getting a second chance or some extra help when things aren't going exactly to plan. I think that means that more people get a decent education and get a better chance in life because of it. It means bringing back AS levels and resits so that when you face barriers because of your family background, disability or caring responsibilities, your choices aren't made for you and that you get a second chance. It means protecting and improving disabled students' allowance and EMA and not cutting and scrapping them so that people like us can stay in education and not be shut out. It means that you work with your college lecturers and tutors to get the best for everyone, like my lecturers had my back when I needed it most. Knowing that as an apprentice you'll be paid a fair wage, knowing that as a woman you won't get paid less than a man doing the same job as you, and knowing that we will go on in life and not be worse off than our parents. Hundreds of people working to tackle these challenges and to change your education and our local community for the better. At the time, I wasn't sure. I didn't think that things could be changed by people like me. But that standing for election changed my life completely. And I know that the campaign I've been a part of and that we've won have changed thousands of students' lives all over the country. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't stuck at my A-levels. But it wouldn't have happened if my college hadn't been there for me or if I hadn't got the second chance. Which is why I think that everybody should get involved and make sure that more people get those chances, to make sure that it's not just your grades that determine your chances in life. And so if you'd asked me 6 years ago what I would be doing today, I don't know, it could have been anything. But instead, I've been working with students all over the country, starting out in Cornwall and later across the whole of the UK, in changing education and their lives for the better. But there are always people who disagree, who want to do things differently than you, who talk of people not doing real subjects or looking down on people who didn't go to university. But don't listen to those people who say you will never be successful, because it is absolute nonsense. Go out, get stuck in and get involved, and it will be the best decision you ever make. It takes a lot of courage, and it will be really hard work, and actually you won't always end up where you expect to be. It certainly hasn't been what I expected, but I wouldn't change it for the world.